So what's better, Medicare or private insurance through your employer? If you're eligible for Medicare, or soon will be, that's a big question. And during this video, I'm going to go through the pros and cons of each of those options, as well as teach you how to avoid the frequent penalties and mistakes that people often make when they're new to Medicare and do this wrong. I'm going to start this video with a couple real-life stories where people who chose incorrectly and it cost them dearly. One $30,000 mistake and another $80,000. Hey, before I tell you those stories, just in case we've never met, my name is Marvin Music, and the goal of this YouTube channel is to provide you with the best Medicare education possible so that you will avoid making the worst Medicare mistakes. So if you're new to our community, hit subscribe, and every time we post a new video, you'll be notified. Also, we know that Medicare is complicated, so below the video, you'll see some places there where you can get some additional help. Feel free to check those out anytime. Let's get started. Recently, I had a guy call me that was getting ready to retire. And in our conversation, I found out that he had already enrolled in Medicare. In fact, he enrolled in Medicare a couple years ago while he was still working and covered by a large employer-provided plan. And so now he's ready to retire, and because he went on Medicare too early, we have limited options as far as supplemental plans go. And so because of that decision going on Medicare early, it's going to cost him about $30,000 over the lifetime of that policy. And that's what happens when people do not go on Medicare at the right time. Another couple that we helped recently notified our company, and after learning about their situation, what they did was they listened to some advice from their HR department. As this lady was getting ready to retire, the HR department said, don't worry about Medicare, we're going to cover you with COBRA insurance, and we'll give you that for 12 months. And so they acted upon the advice of that HR department, didn't go on Medicare when they should have, and they used COBRA coverage. The lady ends up having some health problems, a couple of hospitalizations and a surgery. The bills were over $100,000, and COBRA only paid second, and Medicare should have paid first, but because they didn't enroll Medicare at the right time, they were in the first payer position. It cost them $80,000 out of pocket. And this is why this whole issue of do I go on Medicare now or keep using my private insurance through employer, it's why it's so important. The decisions that you make are going to have an impact and could be a lifetime impact. So I've broken this video up into two parts. Number one, I'm going to share with you 4 very important details surrounding this decision. Secondly, I'm going to show you how you can use that information to make the decision whether you should go on Medicare or not. And then at the end, if you need to go on Medicare, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So in order to make this decision, there's 4 things that we need to know about your present employer plan. Number 1 is the premium. What is it costing you to be on the plan at work? And what I want to know specifically is the portion of the premium just for you. There may be others on that plan, but what does it cost to have your coverage on that plan? Number 2, you need to know the deductible. The deductible is a portion that you have to pay before the plan begins to pay. That may be $1,500, it may be $5,000, but we need to know that. And then thirdly, what's the maximum out of pocket? In other words, what would the most that you would spend in that year? How much would that be? If you got cancer, some serious health issue, you will probably reach your max out of pocket. Is that $10,000, $15,000, $20,000? You need to know that. And then finally, medications. What medications are you on? And we're especially paying attention to medications that are brand name that are very expensive. We need to note those as well. If you don't know that information, you need to get that either from your benefits department or look at the policy. So I'm going to assume that you know that information, so let's keep going. So the first issue that has to be addressed, will there be anyone negatively impacted by you going on Medicare? In other words, a spouse that's on your plan that doesn't have other insurance options, or maybe children that are covered up to age 26. Did they have other options? So if someone in the family doesn't have other insurance options, you probably are not going to go on Medicare. But there are times when other family members do have insurance options. I had a guy call me today, and his wife had her own plan at work, and he's going to go on Medicare, and she's going to start being covered by her work plan as well as her daughter. So assuming that no one's going to be hurt by you going Medicare, let's look at those 4 pieces of information that you gathered about your plan. So let's talk about premium. If the premium for your plan is costing you $100 a month or less, then you're going to probably stay on that plan. That's a very good value. However, most people are paying $200, $250 or up, and Medicare is going to be a much better value. In fact, we can put you on a plan where it's $170 a month total premium, and then you have some copays. Or we could put you on a Medicare plan that costs $300 a month that has little to no out-of-pocket expenses beyond the premium. Secondly, the deductible. If you're on a plan of a deductible of $1,500 or more, I would have a real concern with that. Why? Because we compare that to Medicare, and we get a Medicare plan of a couple $100 deductible, and that is it. And so anything above $1,500, you need to be looking at Medicare. And thirdly, what's the annual max out of pocket on your plan? In other words, if you got cancer or some serious health issue, what are you going to spend during that year? Most employer plans are $5,000 minimum, sometimes $10,000, $15,000 that you're liable for out of pocket for a serious illness. If we're on Medicare, it's going to be a fraction of that cost. In fact, those that are in Plan Gs today, their total out of pocket is $233 deductible once a year. And then finally, let's talk about medications, and especially those that are expensive. I mean brand name medications that could retail for $500 or maybe $1,000 a month. On your group plan, you probably have some very reasonable copays for those. But when we go on Medicare, those medications could cost you more. So sometimes people really like Medicare and the prices are better, but when it comes to their medications are priced better in a group plan, and so we encourage them to stay right with the group. So if you're on some lower cost brand name medications or a few generics, then you don't have to be concerned at all about those medications because Medicare will have good prices for you. Hey, I know this can be confusing, so if you need some help, you can click on the link below and actually schedule an appointment with one of our guides, and they'll walk you through this process to make sure that you're making the right decision. So assuming that you've made this comparison and you know it's best to go on Medicare, if you are approaching 65, you can enroll into Medicare at 65. Now, someone within your company may tell you otherwise. They may say, no, you have to wait until the company's open enrollment. They're absolutely wrong. Everyone has a legal right, even if they're working, to go on Medicare at 65. Now, moving forward, if you're 66 or 67 and you're watching this and you're ready to get off the employer plan and go on Medicare, then that company could say you can only make that move during the company's open enrollment. Now, usually a company will let you go anytime you want to, but if they had that restriction, you'll have to wait until the company open enrollment, normally during the end of the year, and then you can walk through that enrollment process. So right below the video, you'll see in the description box, there's some links to videos, depending upon your situation, that will walk you through the process of getting enrolled into Medicare. I told you that I'd give you a couple tips and tricks about Medicare. Number one, whenever you're on COBRA, you must be on Medicare if you're Medicare eligible. Many people think that COBRA will be sufficient for them, and they'll take their COBRA and be on it for 6 or 12 months, and yet they're Medicare eligible. And if there's ever a claim that you're going to have, what will happen is COBRA will only pay second to Medicare. So if you're on COBRA, it may be fine to keep it for a while, but you're going to have to enroll into Medicare to put Medicare in the first payer position. Medicare pays first, COBRA pays second. So if you're Medicare eligible and you have COBRA only, then you will be in the first payer position, and that will cost you drastically. Now, the second tip is this. If you work for a small employer, Medicare defines that as 19 insureds in the group or less. That's a small employer. And in that position, your group plan only has to pay second once you're Medicare eligible. So you need to go on Medicare A and B. Most people don't keep their group plan after that because it's usually not very good because it's a small group. And most people will drop the group, take A and B first, and get a supplemental plan or an advantage plan. So that's in your best interest to do so in a small group. And then tip number 3, if you're in an employer plan of 20 or more, then you're not required to do anything with Medicare, not even Medicare A, and there's no penalties. You don't have to do A or B. Now, again, you ought to compare your employer plan to having Medicare, but you don't have to do anything with Medicare if the group plan is 20 or more until you get ready to retire. Now, this next tip may not work if you work for Walmart or some real large employer, but if you are employed by a medium to maybe a smaller company, then the premiums that they're paying for you could be quite a bit. And so if you go to them and tell them that you'd like to go on Medicare, they will probably be in favor of that. Now, they cannot pay your Medicare premiums, but what they can do is give you a pay raise. And so they're probably spending $500, $600 maybe or more a month on you, and you can go on Medicare and get Cadillac insurance for $300 or so, and they can probably give you a pay increase to cover that, and then you win and they win as well. So many times that's a wonderful situation. Now, if you're self-employed and you own your own company, then you have the best of both worlds because Medicare will allow your company to pay your premiums. In fact, they can be deducted right from the company checking account. You can't pay those for your employees, but you can pay those out of your company account. So it really is a no-brainer for the self-employed to go on Medicare. Hey, that about wraps it up. Now, we put out 2 videos every day, and we're always looking to provide the answers for the questions that you have. So please go down below in the comments section. And if there's any question you have, anything you need to know, please put it in there. We will record a video just for that question. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe and ring the bell for more content just like this. If you want to continue to learn about Medicare, feel free to click or tap on one of these other videos. This channel is all about helping you avoid Medicare mistakes. As always, I wish you the best on your Medicare journey. We'll talk to you at the next video.